3, 2, 1, 0. Here you are. Welcome to our first Raw Chef and Sustainability Coach class. It's the first class of the Johanna's Raw Foods Academy online, and you are in it. That's if you decide to stay in it. Many of you will be watching this and not yet have made their decision. And that's why I decided to have this open to you guys so that everybody can still make their decision and still join if you so decide after watching today. Right. So, of course, at first I want to welcome you to even think about. I want to welcome you to this world of super healthy existence. I want to welcome you to Johanna's Raw Foods Academy. I want to welcome you to possibly becoming a coach who joins the League internationally of coaches, making the world a healthier place, a happier place, and a more sustainable place, and therewith helping the planet to sustain life longer and not fall to the wayside. Or rather have humanity fall to the wayside. That would be cool. No. So what this course is all about. This is a very serious academic course. In this course, you will study and learn and write papers, yes, and I will, or my coaches will read and comment on them. You have to altogether present 6 papers over the course of 12 months. However, especially this first year that we're running this course, you can individualize your goals. So, with the certificate at the end of this course, you will have achieved so much. And I'm going to go into more details of what all the courses are in a minute. So you will have gained the confidence, you will have practiced presenting whatever you want to present, whether it's speaking, whether it's workshops, whether it's teaching in schools, or helping corporations go greener, go leaner, go healthier in their cafeterias, etc., etc. The possibilities of what you can do with this certificate are endless, literally, and the demand is great everywhere. And the fields are so broad too. I mean, I have just been asked to write a proposal for a whole country to work on its agriculture going more organic. So that's how far this ability to think sustainable, to think organic, to think more plant-based foods for humanity, this is how far this can go. And that can happen to you too. And many other things that I can't even conceive of can happen to you, that you can then apply your skills that you learned in this academy course too. So individualized goals can be accomplished while everybody also learns a little bit about all the fields that we are going to discuss in a minute. But let me spend just 1 minute on, well, it's going to be a little bit more than a minute, on who am I, because some of you coming from outside my tribe will not know who am I. And I will give you just a quick rundown, and you can then, of course, learn more on all my other appearances online, you know, at LinkedIn, on my YouTube channel, Johanna's Raw Foods, on Instagram, Johanna's Raw Foods, and on my Johanna Sophia Facebook page, where you will find what's going on generally in my life and with many of my colleagues who did the same training with me, the same business training. Thank you for those likes. So we are today recording this class because the entire course is getting recorded, and those of you who cannot be live in these classes can always take them after the fact, because all of these classes are going to be recorded. Therefore, you will not have to miss anything, even if you cannot participate at this time in the afternoon on Monday afternoons at 4 p.m. And that's just the time that I had to choose because I have so many obligations and schedules. So therefore, and I'm also thinking that people in Europe can still participate because it's 10 o'clock in mid-European zones, time zones, and people on the West Coast, of course, can participate because it is 3 hours earlier there, which makes it 1 p.m. lunchtime on the West Coast. So, but who am I? I have this professorial title, and it's not in nutrition, and it's not in anything related to agriculture or anything like that, because I just told you I was asked to do something for the agricultural department of a country. I did my MFAs, 3 of them at Columbia University, in writing, directing, and producing. Film has nothing to do with food, but I have been involved in healthy living for a long time. In my very first school, when I lived in Zimbabwe, I created apart from dance courses and acting courses, it was a drama and dance school, and fitness courses, I created slimming, trimming courses. And of course, I devised a dietary regimen for the people participating in the slimming, trimming courses. And that's when I started understanding that plant foods also are healing. That's when I knew that I could recommend people to heal even cancer with juice diets. Of course, you know, this is about self-healing. This is not about me saying I can heal you, just so you know that. We can only, with natural means, we can self-heal. And we have to work on our input of food, on our food and our environment and our emotional and mental balance. So who am I? Otherwise, I have a degree in Waldorf education. I'm currently teaching at a Waldorf school, and it is very important to me to stay with the next generations in terms of understanding what their needs are and what their visions are for themselves, for their future. And for example, tomorrow we're having a walkout for new gun laws in the US, which is apparently taking place across the nation. My students informed me today, so I'm really excited about that. And so I'm also involved in that life. And when you teach children and teenagers, you really have to consider what the world has to offer them, what expectations they can have for their lives and their kids and their grandkids. And that's way down the line. I'm 64 now, so I want to stay fit and stick around for my grandkids to grow up. So I already am looking to stay healthy and get fit, etc. And when I look at the teenagers that I'm teaching currently, they actually are so much more aware of all of this. Of course, you know, they have a long way to go to implement certain things, but boy, we were doing parkour things today on balancing, and not with me teaching, with another expert coming in for that, but I was participating, and it's just so beautiful to see the energy that is in these children. And it is for them that we need to keep this planet, or rather render this planet healthier and render it more sustainable. What does that mean, sustainability? It means that apart from getting away from destroying forests because we want to grow feed for meat production, where we could use less than 1/10 of the land to grow much better, healthier plant food for us humans. So that's another one of the aspects, when I look at these kids, that I'm thinking about. Who am I otherwise? I went raw 95%, so I do still sometimes eat cooked vegan food with my kids or tasting things that other people have made. Now 15 years ago, and it has been nothing but pleasurable and awesome, because not only did I go raw, but I also invented a whole cuisine that is a gourmet cuisine that is delicious food, from chocolate mousses to elaborate quiches and all sorts of international dishes, from Siberian, oh God, I forgot the word, dishes to Latin American dishes, Mexican dishes, African dishes, etc. So, but all recreated in raw versions. So because I'm such a gourmet, I'm such a lover of fine tastes and flavors and smells, and basically the entire sensory experience on planet Earth to me is very valuable. So also the kind of scents I have in my house, working with essential oils, etc. All of that is very important to me. So what else do I have in my bag of experience? You will learn bit by bit throughout this course also. So it's living in many different countries. I recently counted, I've been in 27 countries, so it's not bad for a start. I still have a ways to go because I want to go to Asia, but that too shall come. And I want to talk to you now about creating this course, and why should you decide to do this course as opposed to lots of other options that you have. There's the Culinary Institute of Light in California, where you can become a gourmet raw chef, and they do wonderful work. I love these colleagues. There's Hippocrates Health Institute, where you're focusing very much on the healing aspects of food. And there are other institutions, like in Atlanta, my colleagues, I think it's raw food. I forget the title. I'm so sorry. I'll look it up for you. And there are many other institutions that I'm not even aware of. Then I have colleagues in Germany who run their own courses, have done so for years, and run huge exhibits, like what we would call Veg Fest here. They run it more like a trade fair, with lots of different products that are presented at these trade fairs, and also speakers and courses and everything else that goes with such an event. So in June, I'll be in Germany again, doing workshops and a couple of lectures as well. And then I will hopefully be in Zimbabwe and promoting that proposal that I was asked to write for them. And in the meantime, our course continues every Monday for the first 3 weeks of every month. For the last week, it is Relax Week. That's when you work on your individual projects and maybe get some of your writing done, etc., some of your own research done. So it's always the first, the second, the third Monday of each month, and then the last week is Relax Week. What else do you need to know about this course? This course offers so much more than the gourmet food. And to me, that always has been very important. It is looking at the whole picture. I kind of grew up with this holistic view that to be a healthy human being, you need good food, healthy clothing, healthy air, healthy environments, and furnishings, and carpeting, and all these other elements. And you also need to be informed about how to enhance the politics of the day and or the world so that you can participate in making those changes as well. I'm having to move my head here because the sun is shining into my window, and that's beautiful, and I don't want to block it, but it just looks weird if my ear lights up here on the other side. All right, so why Johanna's Raw Foods course and certificate is because it has that very broad spectrum, and I'm going to go into more details right now. Maybe bring out your notebook. And of course, everybody will get the rundown of the courses. I will probably change the order in which the courses are provided, starting with the first course where we are not doing growing fresh food indoors and outdoors right now because we're going to wait a little bit until spring offers more regions that option of starting to plant. So we're going to start out with green drinks, salads, and green dishes, and how to create your own first event. So creating your own first event will include written preparation for it and doing it as an event within your family or within your circle of friends, and you will create that event and report back on it. And if possible, you will create that event sooner rather than later, meaning within the next 4 weeks, as not necessarily an official event, but a small, like I said, in family, in circle of friends event to kind of get your feet wet. And those of you who already do presentations will get to the next level in this first month of April, meaning, first, second, and third week of, not April, month of March. What am I talking about? But for those who are taking this course online starting at a later date, of course, for your first month of classes, that is what's going to happen. All right. In our whole curriculum are the following courses: green drinks, salads, and green dishes, growing fresh food indoors and out, raw breads and cheeses, raw cakes and treats, raw food manufacturing, for those of you who are interested in learning how to get into the manufacturing of a product and marketing it. It's a whole other ballgame. Of course, with Johanna's Raw Foods, having been in over 200 stores and going through that whole process with national distributors and still not breaking even financially. So it's a whole course, and understanding that we then need big finances to get to the next level or fold and start over on a much more technically advanced level, meaning automation. So that is a possibility also within the raw food manufacturing course. Then we're going to healthy lifestyles, and that includes parenting, saying yes instead of no, recreating your entire approach to how you can invigorate the children and their natural need to explore and to find out and to, yes, I saw something incredible. And to respond with, yes, that is wonderful, and not with, no, you're not allowed to touch. So, yes, that is hot, but we want to stay away from it. And it's hard because we're all so used to using no's. I wrote a whole article about that years ago. That will be in my next book. Oh, that's another thing about me, of course, that I forgot to mention. The book, Freedom, Fun, Genius, Turning Learning into Adventure, is in print again, and you can order it. And that applies to the parenting course and to the turning no's into yeses. So, and the next book is going to be Raw Foods Are Awesome, and many of these articles that I've written over the years are going into that book. So that's currently in the works. If you want to pre-order, pre-purchase it, you are welcome to do that. You will get a better price. And you can ask for a signed copy. All right, so Raw Foods Are Awesome have a lot to do with gourmet recipes and articles around my experiences using raw foods for healing, for celebrations, for gourmet restaurant dinners, and for, yeah, just family fun and friends and gatherings. And for my regular lifestyle, you know, the simple stuff that I have with me every day, that I just carry, all the crackers and the breads and the easy to carry stuff that I eat every day, the cheeses that I make and so forth. So currently I have brownies in the dehydrators. So I look forward to those, some of which are already sold. But yeah, so that's in the whole breads, cheeses, cakes, treats, and manufacturing course. Then we go into body care, cosmetics, soaps, why sunscreen is actually harmful and not allowing you to produce vitamin D, and therefore, you know, we have this big crisis supposedly of vitamin D deficiency and so forth. So we go into cosmetics, body hygiene, and cleaning agents. And then we go to clothing. What kind of fibers do we want to have on our skin? What do the fibers actually do? What do they emit, etc.? The science behind that. And there are books that have been written about those things. It has to then also to do with the magnetic field that we all have around us, and that interferes with the electric or vibes that are in fibers. You know how you produce sparks taking off some wools and acrylics, etc. So that we want to go into a little bit. Then we are going to have a course about the politics of agriculture and pharmaceuticals and chemicals, and why we have such a toxic world right now, and why we're polluting our waters with all those pesticides, herbicides, and also all the medications that people swallow and actually excrete in whole pills very often, because they don't have the enzymes in the stomach acid to break those open, and they then go directly into our waters. And we have all these antibiotics and all these medications that are quite harmful to animals in our fish. Just today, one of my students said her doctor said she can't eat fish anymore because she has too much mercury in her body, and that's just one element. So, so we look at the politics of pollution of our environment, and how it seeps, of course, into our lives on all sorts of levels. And that has to do with our industrialized world, of course, that has developed and is to be seen as very advanced, but then it self-perpetuates without realizing how toxic it is. So then we look into energy and the kind of energy we can use. And I'm not talking electricity, actually. I'm not talking energy healing with your hands. That's also beautiful and I love it. But right now I'm just talking solar energy, wind energy, water movement energy, tidal energy, and various other forms of methane from decomposition of compost and so forth. So all those forms of energy that we can use rather than continuing to pollute our planet, we want to discuss, because that too belongs to sustainability. And of course, what we eat determines what kind of compost and waste we create, right? What we put into our body, like I just said, all the medications, etc., that go through us and then pollute the waters. The same is true for all the foods we buy and put into our mouths, all the chemically treated peels that we peel off our fruit and then go into our compost, etc. Again, leave their chemicals in our environment, because those chemicals are made so that they don't decompose naturally with everything else. So they don't reintegrate into the cycle of life. So we're going to go a little bit into that and how that relates to the kinds of energy we use, the kinds of course, how we drive our cars. We should not need to give up any of our technologies. To the contrary, there are magnetic trains. I mean, we've all just seen Black Panther, and oh, what an awesome movie. Those magnetic trains, the technology actually exists. However, we are too invested in the oil and gas industry that is currently still running the show, and therefore we are not using those new technologies that are less harmful to the environment. All right, and then we look at how we can calculate our personal footprint on the planet by looking at how we live and what that does to the environment in comparison to the average or to other places. We look at the statistics of countries and where advances have been made. And the food you eat is always at the center of all the other industry around it. It's so amazing, because once you're aware of the impact of the food that you eat and how it's grown and how it makes you live and how it makes you conscious, everything else kind of evolves around that. Then we look at, of course, education systems. How do we educate our children? What is a more futuristic, a more future-oriented way of raising your kids, teaching your kids, finding the schools that are more suited to self-empowered individuals? That's also what this course is about, self-empowerment. And here we have that sunshine on my face again. Woo, woo. It's so cool. I love it. But yes, it's crazy. So the educational systems in our world, of course, shape majorly the next generations. And how do we want to have our children shaped by the education that they undergo, so to speak, or that they are able to indulge in, enjoy, explore? I think those are the words that we would much rather have than an education imposed upon our children. So we no longer want to imprint a particular system on our children. We would much rather have them grow like a plant that opens its flowers and finds its own beauty, its own way of seeing the world, and its own way of thinking. So for the next generations, that to me is very important, the way we educate our children. And last but not least, how do we want to create work environments? Now, I know that this is way out there. And we are still, I mean, I have it on my title too. You know, I'm a professor, I'm a CEO, I'm a this, I'm a that. But when you really think about it, you want to be collaborating in the future. You want to transition from a competitive work environment to a contributory work environment where everybody contributes the best they can, where they have their expertise, where they have their passion to the whole, to the project. That's really what teamwork is. So in my view, that is the notion of the future. And of course, I am looking forward to creating those teams as I am working together with my colleagues, Dr. Brian Clement, Dr. Anna Maria Clement, the people, Dr. Gabriel Cousins on the other hand, and so many people, Karen Ramsey, who wrote the book Creating Healthy Children, and so many other colleagues that I work with. Rio, who was one of the early ones creating raw food recipes and books. And you know, the list goes on and on. As you know, those who know the summits that I've done know the colleagues that are with me in where I feel my team is. And I would love for you to get to the level where you feel you can now join the teams of world changers, of society, of advancing society and humankind to the next levels of consciousness, to the next lifestyles. So, all right, those are the courses. So how to create a different kind of work environment, and the many attempts that have been made, not necessarily very successfully so, because it just takes such a switch from this need to be, the need to be this competitive person, you know, always having to prove that we're better than somebody, always having to prove that we're stronger or smarter or taller, or, and then of course there's the whole color scheme, which is really, really terrible. So in the era of competitiveness and hierarchical systems, we have all these classifications of people that really lead to segregation, that lead to segregating the females from the males and the old from the young and the supposedly more intellectually gifted from the more hands-on gifted, and the artist from the intellectuals, and the et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, we have all these classifications where we like to put humans into little boxes. Whereas I think, I maintain, and I'm not alone in this, that the future allows us to be much more fully developed human beings, all of us. We don't have to be the intellectual or the mason or the gardener or the whatever else, you know, the mother, the stay-at-home mother. We can be a mix of those things, and at different times in our lives maybe focus more on one of those strengths. But we can have lives that include many elements, many professional abilities, many positions in society that give us different responsibilities. So that's also what I believe the future of work can allow us to do. This lighting is really interesting. So allowing this to go much more like a relaxed class is really what the whole style of this course is like. There will be some classes given by some of those colleagues that I was just talking about. Okay, I'm going to be somewhere where I'm not too much in the half in sun, half in shade, so that those people that I just named and others will appear in our classes and talk to you in our classes, and you can ask questions back and they will respond, and of course I will respond. Everybody who is in this class will have unlimited access to myself by email and my assistants. Sometimes when I can't do all of it, obviously my assistants will do the responses, and you will be able to have all your papers reviewed and get the advice you need for your next step in your business. There will be a program teaching you how to build an online business or how to build a hands-on real-life workshop business, teaching business, speaking business. So, have I told you how this course runs? Yes. Let me just wrap it up again. And for today's class, that sunshine in my face. All right, maybe I have to go all the way over here now. And then you get a really crooked room in the back. No, that's not good. All right. Here we go. Nah. You have to deal with the sunshine in my face. Too bad. Of course, 4 o'clock in the afternoon will change, but if I'm in this position, it will not change too much in my house. All right. Yes, this course will also encourage you, if not request those who get a certificate, to write your own book, even just an account of what you learned and the projects you did, the workshops you prepared, etc. All go into a book. It doesn't have to be very long, 50 pages, I think, was what I request. And that book can get printed. You can either self-publish it or you can just print it as a booklet. But yes, everyone who receives the certificate for the Raw Chef and Sustainability Coach course will have to complete a written document, let's call it a book, of what you have learned in this course and what you specifically specialized in, and you know, the meals you created, the courses you created, and or the learning you did, and or your self-healing accounted for, etc. So there are many ways of doing that book and many topics that you could use, but it has to relate to what you learned and applied in this course. So at the end of this course, you have the knowledge of, oh, and of course your 6 papers that you write during the year also go into that book. So it's almost complete with 6 papers. You can then expand upon that. So one more time, what makes us different from other raw food courses is that we are seeing raw foods as one part of self-healing, awesome lifestyle, and helping the planet get to the next level of also decontaminating itself. So for decontamination of our waters and our air and our global warming issues, burping here, sorry, we are required to actively turn those things around and participate by our lifestyles and by other, of course, actions in politics. So, you will be doing some academic research which goes into the courses, but depending on what your own individualized goals are, you know, some of you will be more on the intellectual end and some of you will be more on the creative end of the spectrum, and that's all good. One more time, what can you do with this course? And I don't have the print in my hands. What can you do with this certificate? You can help yourself and others self-heal using food and lifestyle. You can offer your advice to corporations and institutions and schools to go greener, to be more aware of the toxins in their products, to help them add raw food products to their regular diet. And you don't have to turn anybody into vegan or into raw foodists. You just help them add more healthy foods to what they're already eating, and it will automatically push something else out, of course. So then you can create your own business. You can create your own business, again, teaching and coaching others how to become coaches and teachers of healthy lifestyles. And that includes all of the above. And then you can go and work in other institutions that already are doing this work, whether it is an institution of natural healing or of a school where natural product production is taught, etc. So you can, or a university where you're teaching sustainability and aspects of the latest research, you know, starting with the China study, etc., to help students understand who go into environmental sciences and other things, you know, how food and lifestyle impacts our sustainability and our environment. All right, and I'm sure there are 100 other avenues where you can use these certificates. I just wanted to give you a good basic understanding of what this certificate can help you do professionally. And of course, once we've done the online business development, this certificate and the knowledge you obtain can also make you wealthy. And while, yes, I'm sitting here and I'm not wealthy, I'm just doing okay and doing fine. But I know what to do if I want to focus on expanding the wealthy side of my business. So that too can be learned, and that too can be your goal, to be wealthy enough. And I see wealth as coming from our end of the spectrum of philosophies and politics in this world. I see becoming wealthy as sharing some of the wealth that the 1%ers currently hoard and taking it to apply it to better purposes. So I have nothing against you wanting to become a millionaire. To the contrary, I will do everything in my power to help you get there. And I have many friends who are. I just haven't been focused and interested enough. I'm so focused on putting things out into this world, like Johanna's Raw Foods and this academy, and yeah, these kind of things. I have other big projects that I don't want to talk about right now because they're not ready to be talked about, and can't find shade anymore. Here we go. So I think that's a wrap for today. So if wealth is your goal, that too can be attained right here in this course. Now, for those of you who are not paying up after this first introduction, I will have to take you back out of the group. And I will do that, and then you can think about whether you want to do it in the future or just not. So from next class on, only those people who have paid up will be having access. And that's how it works. I know I already gave you a lot of opportunity to, oh my goodness, I can't find a spot where my face is reasonable. All right. So as of next class, only the people who have paid their dues, the dues are currently really reasonable and have signed their contract, will continue in Johanna's Raw Foods Academy course, Raw Chef and Sustainability Coach Certificate. Again, welcome, and I'm so glad you're here and you've chosen to do this program. Love you guys. Find out more about me on YouTube, on Instagram, on what's the other one? On LinkedIn, and of course on my Facebook pages. And on my website, johannasrawfoods.com. All right, so there's also events and live events on the website that you can check out if you want to look at other things before you make up your mind to join this particular course. Love you guys. We're going to be an awesome team. We're going to do a lot of stuff in this world, and I'll see you next Monday. Ciao.